Hi guys, welcome to the Total Waterpolo podcast. How are you doing? Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm really grateful for our guest today. He's got so much on his plate, especially given the World Championships are just around the corner now, and he's been doing loads of press conferences, interviews and training obviously, so we're really grateful that we get to speak to him, and I hope you guys really enjoy listening to him. It's the Hungarian international Krisztián Manhercz. His English is absolutely fantastic. During the chat, we're going to talk about the World Champs. We're going to talk about his career. We're also going to talk a bit about, the psychology of water polo and going to see a psychologist and things like this. So, lots of things to listen out for, and hopefully you can take something from the episode. Just before we start, of course, as usual, you're entitled to 10% off at wearwaterpolo.com. Whether you want briefs, trunks, tops, hats, whatever it is. Head over to Waterpolo, and there are some really cool designs on there, and with 10% off, why not? And of course, as usual, if you can, wherever you're accessing this podcast, on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever it may be, leave a like, leave a review, maybe share if you can. We massively appreciate it. But anyway, let's listen to Krisztián Manhercz, and I think this episode's really, really fun. Krisztián Manhercz, welcome to the Total Waterpolo podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, everything's fine.
Good. Have you just come back from a press conference and training?
Yeah, it was good, but it was longer than I thought for first because our team manager said, okay, Krisztián, you need to go there, and that will be 10, maximum 15 minutes. And I was there more than 2 hours, so I'm a little bit tired now, but everything's fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the World Championships are a massive event, obviously in Hungary, and there'll be a lot of press attention on you and your teammates. How are you going to cope with that?
My first championship was in 2017, what was in Budapest. I mean, I played earlier at competitions like in Belgrade or the Olympic Games at Rio, but a World Championship here at Hungary, if somebody was there in 2017 when we had the World Championship there, or the two European Championship in 2014 or 2020, 6 or 8,000 people are there in the pool, and the atmosphere is phenomenal. So it's tough, but as a water polo player, I'm really enjoying this situation, and it's good to have so much fun enjoying this sport.
Of course, and look, we will discuss the World Championships. We can't not really, and we'll do that all a bit later. But I think we'll start, as we do with most of our guests, about how you got into the sport, your early life. I've read several articles that or interviews where you've said, actually, in contrast to most, that actually you preferred swimming to water polo. It's very unusual for water polo players to feel that way, but your parents encouraged you to swap. Is that correct? Or
yeah, because in the primary school, I'm from Pilisvörösvár. There is a smaller city from 20 miles from Budapest, and in the primary school we had an afternoon program like swimming, and my brother and I just started there when we were like 6 or 8 years old, and maybe he was in fifth grade, fourth grade. I really don't remember. They get a message with some of his friends. Hey, can you try water polo at Komjádi pool? It will be fun. And they just went there. And after the first training, the coach told them, told to my brother, okay, you're really talented. You should come here 5 times in a week. To the other one, okay, you are not that good, maybe 2 times in a week. And for the other 3, okay, you don't have to come again here. And our parents didn't like this mentality, what this coach said. So we changed the club, and my brother started at Vasas, but in a smaller groups, and that was Matav polo school. But I was keep swimming. and it was difficult, because my practices was around 2 or 3 o'clock at the afternoon, and the water polo training started after that at 6 or 7 o'clock. So it was difficult to our parent to take us to each trainings. So when I was 9 or 8 years old, I really don't remember. They told me, "Okay, Krisztián, you need to go to play water polo," and I really don't want it because now I don't know why I feel that way. But I was like, I don't know why. I am love to swim. I have friends here, so I want to stay there. But after that, I realized water polo is a really open-minded community, and I had a lot of friends there, so I didn't change my mind, and that was good. And for 7 or 8 years, I didn't change the club. I was there at Vasas.
Yeah. You said when they got you in the pool for the first time, they believed you were super talented. What was it, do you think that they saw in you, particularly? What kind of attributes that you had?
Uh, Tamás Faragó was the my first coach at Vasas, and he told me I have the mind for that. So and I was a really fast player there because I was a swimmer before that. And with these two things, I can do more than other kids in my age. So maybe that I was fast enough, and maybe I did things, but was pretty usual in that age.
Yeah. Were you a good kid? You always listened to your coach and your teachers, or
Of
is it maybe
course,
that's something that they picked up on?
of course not. I always did what I want to, what's fun. I always I was always think about water polo as as a game, as when you're at school going out to the ground and want to play some football. Water polo was the same like me. Okay, I'm enjoying it, but I was never thinking about that. Okay, this will be my job, and I want to do that for 20 years. Of course, I had a dream. I want to be an Olympic champion, but as a 9 or 10 years old kid, it's just some unreal thing what we want to reach in the future, and I just wanted to enjoy it.
Um, you said there that you saw it as a game. I think loads of people do. You never thought it could be a job. Obviously, you said that you were at Vasas for a long, long time. Um, when you left Vasas and then you went to Szeged, was that the first time you realised that actually this could be a job for you?
Uh, Maybe around that because I remember that was in 2014 after the under 18 world championship at Istanbul or something like that, and I really wanted to stay at Vasas. I remember when we went inside to the club officials to negotiating. We said, okay, if something crazy things didn't happen, we will stay at Vasas because that was my dream to play there, to grow up there, and everything. But after that, the president of Szeged, Tamás Molnár, gave us a really good opportunity. I was like 17 years old, and he told me, "Okay, you will be at the starting lineup at every games. You can play three and a half quarter." And Szeged was like fifth or sixth in that year in the champions in the league. So that was a really great opportunity for me.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, although you've said you wanted to stay at Vasas, Szeged offered you that opportunity, and you obviously took it. And how grateful are you for the club for them taking a punt on you and bringing you?
They give me that space what I needed. I remember Csaba Kis was my teammate, who is the coach at Szeged now, and there are 19 years between us with Csaba. So that was a really crazy thing. But he told me, "Okay, I won't punch you." That was the first or the second training. I won't punch you because I knew you're some talented guy, but if you miss something and you go crazy, I will beat the shit out of you. So that was my first day. But after then, I can do more. They let me to do more in every trainings. I was talking when they said, "Okay, be quiet." So I was just a little kid there, but they gave me that space what I needed there. That's why it was a good thing for me.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, as a teenager, you proved yourself at Szeged and eventually got the move to Ferencváros. What was it like being phoned and being told that Fradi were interested in you?
Uh, After the Olympic Games at Rio, I stayed at Szeged for 1 year. Maybe I should go to a bigger club earlier after the Olympic Games, but I decided to stay at Szeged. Maybe that was a mistake. In that year, I agreed with Ferencváros, but after that phone call, Solna called me in 2 or 3 weeks, and that was that Solnok with the Younger, Prajnovic, Alexic, Zalanki, so Viktor Nagy, Gábor Kis. So that was an amazing team. So maybe that could be a good opportunity too. But I went to Fradi and I just saw every trainings players like Denes Varga, Daniel Varga, Madaras, Mitrovic, Yakshi. So that could be a really good team now too. So I enjoyed because that experience, that 1 year at Ferencváros, we win the European Cup and we win the Hungarian League. And I learned a lot of things about water polo and about how to work and how to think about people, but 1 year was enough.
Yeah, well, you say 1 year was enough. Look, you've all the things you've spoken about, the players you played with, the trophies and the success. You only stayed for a single season. What perhaps wasn't suited to you about Ferencváros?
Uh, at Szeged, I played 3.5 quarter. I like that. That was what I wanted. That was what I wanted to do at Ferencváros. I know with Denes Varga and Mitrovic, it's not the same, but it frustrated me in that way because there were some games when I played just 3 or 4 minutes. Uh, and emotionally that was hard to me. But the president, the coach Jolt saw that, and after 1 year, we agreed with each other to let me go.
Yeah, yeah. And OSC, obviously, next club, your current club. Um, you've talked before about, at Ferencváros maybe you didn't have the responsibility that you had at Szeged. Do they give you their freedom at OSC, or do you think you've changed as a player?
Uh, I can thanks a lot to OSC because they trusted me when I was at Ferencváros and when they signed me, because that was a hard year for me too. And at the upcoming season, we win the World Cup, and that summer, that was after the European Championship in Barcelona when we reached the eighth place. So for me, that was really hard after that season with Ferencváros, with the national team. But at the start of the season in September, we won the World Cup with the national team, and after then, I joined to OSC with Bane Mitrovic, with Alexa Ukropina, Balázs Hárai, Erdei Balázs was there also in that year, Savar Angelovic. So OSC was a really good team in that year, but we needed time. But immediately at the first year, we reached the Hungarian final. We lost against Ferencváros, but it wasn't a bad season. And for the next season, we signed Andrea Prajnovic, and and that was maybe my best season in my life. I really enjoyed to play with him, and we worked together good as well. So I hope someday it will be again somewhere. Uh, and yeah, after then, before the pandemic at 2020, OSC lost the main sponsor, Ahid. So all of the players went away, every foreigner. Prajnovic went at Marseille. Other Serbians like Mitrovic, Ranjevic went to Vasas with Brugoja. but OSC can keep the Hungarian players, every Hungarian players. And the most important thing, and that was the reason why I stayed then at the OSC, was Daniel Varga and Sándor Cseh. These two names, I think they sounds good in the water polo. And Daniel was my teammate previously, and I know his knowledge about water polo and what he can teach me. And that was the main reason why I stayed at the OSC, and this will be the upcoming season will be my third with Daniel.
Yeah, yeah. Um, just briefly before we talk about something different, OSC going forward, what are your goals for next season and the season after maybe, and how you're going to achieve them?
Uh, Personally, I think with OS is the most important thing to reach the group stage in the Champions League. I think because that is that level what players need to be prepared for international tournaments like a World Championship or a European Championship. And that's the most important for OSC and in the league and in the Hungarian Cup. We want to beat Ferencváros. I know it's tough because next season Ferencváros will have a lot of quality players like Argyropoulos from Dubrovnik. He's a new guy, but Adam Nagy, who is now a relatively new guy in the Hungarian national team. I mean, like a major tournament. So they will have a really good team. So that will be tough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's move on and discuss maybe. We'll discuss maybe the Olympic Games that you've been involved in, and obviously you've been involved in two. What the first one in Rio, you were still a teenager. I think you were 19, one of the youngest players in the team. And it seems weird now, but you're still one of the younger players in the Hungarian national team now. Really, I know there are a few young ones coming through, but do you feel like your role has changed at all from the Olympic cycles that you've been involved in?
Of course, in the first Olympic at Rio, I was just a greenie, if I can say that, because in my position that was Martin Szivos, Dénes Valga, and I was just like an 18 or 19 years old kid and tried my best. But after the next cycle of the Olympic Games before Tokyo, my role changed completely. We played together with Dinesh almost the whole 4 years. So it was tough and it was a big change, but I really liked and I think this pressure was good in my career, and I really wanted it too. So that's why I'm waiting for this World Championship, because that will be the first tournament when this team, I mean Dénes, Harai, Zalanki, Vamos, and I can play together again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You said about pressure. Um, with Tokyo, let's talk a bit about Tokyo. To some, you were the favourites going into that competition. Did you ever feel like you were favourites? Did you ever think that you were genuinely the best team going to the Olympics?
At Hungary, we have always pressure on water polo teams because we win three times between 2000 and 2008, and we won 9 Olympic gold medals at all times. So Hungary always will be a big part of water polo, and it's a good thing. And before every competition, I mean Olympic Games, World Championship, European Championship, there are 4 or 5 teams who wanted to win that tournament. I mean Spain, Serbia, Croatia, Italy. Uh, every team could reach the final. Like in Gwangju, Italy beat Spain in that tournament, and Spain beat Serbia at the European Championship in Budapest, and Greece beat us in the Olympic semifinals. So there are a lot of good teams, uh, and that's the part of water polo, in my opinion. So it can be a pressure, but but in every sports, if you want to reach medals or finals or good results, pressure will be a part of it.
Yeah, of course, of course. And without meaning to kind of brush over a lot of the Olympic Games, one game for me personally stands out, particularly with regards to you, is that quarter-final game against Croatia, where you scored 7 goals. Quite an exciting game, actually. I know there was 4 goals in it, but it was a really really fun game to watch, and obviously to score 7 goals at the Olympic Games in a single game. That's only ever happened maybe a dozen times, and there are some great players that have done it. Manuel Estiarte, Felipe Peroni, Alexander Sapic, for example. How does it feel to be in that very elite group of players to score that many goals in an Olympic quarterfinal?
For me, it wasn't about the goals because the last time when Hungary reached the semi-final, that was in 2008. So that's where was I started water polo. Maybe I was playing that 1 or 2 years, and in 2012 and 2016 we fall out at the quarterfinals. So this quarterfinal was like was the main gate for us, if I can say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm working with a psychologist in every week, and we were preparing before the Olympic Games every week about how will be the quarter final, what should I do, what can I do, what's the most important thing for me. So personally, I was preparing for that game for a very long time, if I can say that, and I can't say more. It was one of the best days of my life, and the best feeling what I could ever ask for. Not because of the 7 goals, because we finally could step that line to reach the semifinals.
Yeah, yeah. I bet. And obviously, it was massively disappointing not to be able to play in that gold medal match. You lost to Greece for the second time in that tournament. Briefly, obviously, you ended up winning the bronze. Um, Compared to Hungarian teams gone by, that's not a huge deal, but it is a big deal. The way the national team's been the last few seasons. How proud were you of your team, of yourself? And to win an Olympic medal.
It was really tough because after the semifinal loss against Greece, we had 2 days till the next game, and we was watching that game between Serbia and Spain, and they were just like great. So that could be the final too. And after the games, everybody was in their room, and I didn't see. I remember I write on internet to my fiance. I really don't see how we'll win that match because everybody was just like, okay, the world is ending now. So we were just working for 5 years, and everybody went out. But but before the game, we wanted to fight for something. We didn't want to throw that 5 years away, and an Olympic medal is really an important and maybe everything for a sport player. Okay, we wanna play a final. We wanna be Olympic champions, and because that was our dream. But that bronze medal is really a good result for us, if I can say that.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. And you mentioned it there about your fiance. I actually understand that you proposed to her soon after the Olympics. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I thought maybe she would say yes more to an Olympic medalist to a guy without it. So that's why I tried that.
well. I mean, I wasn't going to suggest that, but no. Obviously, it's fair to say it's a very special summer for the Manhercz family, and good memories for the Olympics, I'm sure. And not just at the Olympics as well. I mean, you won Hungarian Player of the Year uh, last year. You were the Eurosport Writers Player of the Year, obviously at Total Water Polo. You were in our team of the season as well. It must be nice to get that recognition. I know you said it wasn't about the goals; it was in the quarterfinal and stuff. But it must be nice to be recognised finally for your value.
Uh, yeah, it's a good thing. It's a big expectation for me from the Hungarian Federation, from you. This is a really big thing for me, and that's keeping motivation to do more and work more, and I wanted to go to a foreigner country to play in the upcoming seasons, maybe Italy or Spain or something, to try myself in another country, or and but we will see. But it was a really good year for me, yeah, and I want to keep continuing it.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, you spoke a little bit just then when we are talking about Tokyo about a sports psychologist. Um, Now you've you've been very public in working with a sports psychologist, and it's quite a difficult thing to talk about. But nowadays it's getting easier, and you're a professional, and I've also read and spoken to people who have said he's very serious about his diet and stuff like this. What advice would you give to young athletes or athletes in general who maybe should go and see a psychologist or a dietitian or a physio, and maybe they're a bit reluctant to? What advice would you give to those players and those people?
Uh, don't fear to tell your problems to anyone, especially a psychologist. But if you don't want to go to a psychologist, to your parents, to your friends, because if you are doing sports, you will find problems a lot. You will meet with a lot of conflict. So what you can handle and what you can handle, and you need people who can you spoke about both, because that's an important thing. Because if you are seeing some problems and you can't handle it, that has some negative effects to your performance at the water. And then if you are fully relaxed and everything's fine, your performance will be much better.
Yeah. Is there anything, any tips, maybe when it comes to psychology or diet, or they're obviously separate things, but is there any tips, simple tips that you can give to people, our listeners, about how to cope with pressure, or how to make sure their diet stays on track, or give them motivation? It's a tough question. I'm asking a lot,
It's
to
a
be
tough
fair.
question, but in sports you have a lot of opportunity. If you miss a shot or miss a goal or something, you will have another try for a lot of time. So be brave and try everything you want, because that's why you can be successful. For me, it was a special thing, because I always, when I was 10 years old, I was trying to shoot goals from a half court with no look. I remember I was 15 years old and I was playing with the national teams under 17, under 16 national team at Szolnok, and George Horkai was the coach of the junior teams at Hungary in that year, and he was playing against Serbia, and he come to watch that game, and he was sitting as the first line, and I didn't see him, and the games just started. There was just the sprints. We gets the ball, and I shoot it immediately from the half court, and it was a goal, and it went in, and Horkai just stand up and was walking away. And my coach told me after the game, okay, Horkai told me you will need to go to the older generation national team next season. That was 3 months before the under 18 world championship in Perth, and I went there. So the whole point in that story was I tried something what was a crazy thing,
Yeah,
because who try a shot from the half court in, because if he miss, he's an idiot, or something like that. But it works, and somebody told that in this situation, Jorge, okay, he's a cool kid. He tried something and it worked. I need that coolness in an older generation.
yeah, that's a really cool story actually, and the message obviously is keep trying, don't give up, be brave, and you never know what can happen. I like that story. Um, okay, we'll talk about the World Championships now. Obviously, something that everyone's very excited about at the moment. I'd be very excited if I was a Hungarian playing in front of a home crowd at Alfred Hajos. But how excited are you to to go. I mean, I went last time in 2017. I'm going to be there again. I can't wait to get to Margaret Island. You know, it's a special venue with the fan parks and the water fountains. You know,
Yes.
it's a great competition. How excited must you be how to play?
Today was the press conference of the World Championship, and they asked me, Christian, did you know Hungary always win a medal since 1926 when they had a competition at Hungary? Do you feel any pressure because of it? Ah, thank you very much for the question. Yeah, for us to play at Margaret Island, it's special. Almost every summer we have some kind of cups at the Hajós Alfred pool, but these are different. If you were there at 2017 and you saw the 7 or 8 thousand people, that's a miracle or something like that. Usually at a water polo game, like a Champions League game or something like that, maybe 1,000, 2,000 people are there. But Hajós Alfred is a different level of water polo. So that's a really unique thing, in my opinion. In 2020, when we had the European Championship and Duna Arena was full, that was another good memory for me because we still with a lot of fans, and it's not about the Hungarian fans. If we play again, when 2016 in Serbia, there was a European Championship, and that was a really good atmosphere, and that's what water polo need, in my opinion. So that's why I'm waiting for this competition now.
Yeah, of course, and Hydros is obviously is an iconic pool and all the rest of it. Do you remember the final in 2017? Not to bring up a bad memory, but do you remember it well?
Of course. The first quarter was 4-0 to Croatia.
Yeah, it was, and that basically cost you the game essentially. A poor start. I know you got back into it a little bit, but um, you know, does that play on your mind? Things like that, or not really?
That was a good competition. Uh, in generally, in my opinion. And Croatia had a really good team in that year, and except the first quarter, we played well at the whole tournament. But if I think about that now, 6 years later, five years later, uh, it could be a really good opportunity to win a world championship at home. And now, in 5 years, we have a chance for it again. So I'm really motivated.
Yeah, of course. And the squad was announced earlier this week. You've got a mix of clubs in there. Hungary normally does. Nearly all of them are playing in Hungary, but it's OSC or Zolnok or Ferencváros. Um, do all the players get on well with each other? I know week in week out they're battling each other for the Hungarian OBI, the championship, but do they get on well? And there's no conflict or anything.
I didn't know about that because the whole teams now, that was three people who's changed since the Olympic Games. So the bigger part of the team is the same what was in last summer, and the other players who was in the bigger squad, we are playing together since 3 or 4 years, so we know each other really well. And as you said, in the recent years, maybe all of the Hungarian national team players was playing at home at the same 3 or 4 teams, maybe OSC, Szolnok, Eger, Ferencváros, and these players was playing together, so they know really so they know really well each other. So that's why we didn't have any conflict.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, a lot of teams, like the classic examples are like Greece and Spain, where 9 out of 13 play for Barceloneta or Olympiacos, and um, that obviously has its advantages. But yeah, and let's just talk a bit about your preparation for this tournament. Obviously, you've been training hard. I believe you had a joint training session with a few other teams, Canada for one. And did you play a practice match against Croatia, or is that yet to come?
No, it was just yet to come, and that will be on Saturday evening. So
Yeah, do you find things like this unusual? Like obviously training, especially against such high quality opposition, is always useful. But you're obviously not going to show your hand. You're not going to play all the top tactics and stuff. So is it always unusual? Is an unusual feel before competitions to play in games and practice and common training sessions? I think they're called like this.
before every competition, there are some practices between teams, but not with those teams who can find in the quarterfinals or earlier phase of the tournament. As I know, we can just meet in the semifinal or in the final, or in that stage
Yeah,
with Croatia. So that's why we are training with them. We could meet in the quarterfinal with Italy or Spain, so that's why we didn't try to practice with them.
of course, and it's all fun and it's all well natured. There's no not people trying to injure each other before
Yeah,
teams.
yeah, that should be a really bad thing before the competition.
No, no, and just before we leave it there and go to part two, who are Hungary's biggest rivals for this competition this year? If you can name one or two teams, who's the big challengers? Obviously, Hungary are up there, but who else?
The first year after an Olympic Games, it's always the renewing every team. I mean, Italy has a really new squad, Serbia also, but Croatia too. So we will need some games to watch each other, how we are playing, how they're playing. But I mean, like in every year, Serbia, Spain, Italy, Greece, they always had good teams. So in my opinion, these 4 or 5 teams will be in fight for the last 3 places.
Okay, the diplomatic answer by
I'm
saying
trying.
Serbia.
I'm
That's
trying.
fine. No, we'll leave it there for part one, and we'll come back in a few moments with some questions that people have sent in.
Okay.
Welcome back to part two of the Total Waterpolo podcast. This is the part where we put our questions to our guests that you've sent in on social media. We're with Krisztián Manhercz. And actually, before we start that, Hungarians put the name the other way around. Does it annoy you? Should I call you Manhercz Krisztián? Is that the best, or does it not really bother
No,
you?
Manhercz Christian is good, but I have a nickname Mano,
No,
and
no,
that's
right,
how
okay,
they look after me almost every time in the pool.
okay. Okay, all right. Well, we've got some questions here from people on Instagram and Facebook and other things. But before we ask them, we ask all of our guests to give their total seven, so their favorite seven, top team, their dream team, their ultimate team, players you've played with, past or present. So you get to pick seven, and we want to hear it.
Who I play with?
Or people you never played with, people you've played against,
Oh,
or
that's a tough one. Hmm. On the right side, I would say Filipovic and Benedek. To center forward, I want to say Pietlovic. To center defender, I would play Ivovic, and on the left side is Kasas and Vargadenes. And to the goal,
okay, okay.
goal,
Who's in goal?
that's a tough
Who's in
one.
goal?
That's a tough one. Viktor Nagy.
Is he the hardest goalkeeper you've ever played against? I mean, we do actually have a question. Someone, I think on Instagram, Slain underscore, which is the strongest goalkeeper you've ever played against and why? Is
Uh, Victor was a really good one, but I played 2 or 3 times against Tempesty, and but I was just 17 or 18 years old, and that was just like an impossible thing for me to score a goal. So I would say that.
you'd score against him now, though, presumably.
Yeah, I tried. Once I scored, yeah, yeah, but it was only one time.
Okay, fine, fine, fine. Um, okay, we've got another question on Instagram from Waterball underscore 6 times 5, and they say we all know water polo can take you to some pretty amazing places, as well as some pretty average places. What are your best and worst travel experiences to play games? It's a really good question. I really like that.
uh, I had the European Championship in 2015 at Tbilisi and Georgia,
Yeah,
and almost every team, but the 80% of the teams get some sickness at the hotel.
I really.
Our our stomachs was bad. Everybody lost weight like 6 and 10 kilograms from muscles and from everything. So I would say that the worst because of this sickness, and the best one. It's not because of the places. I mean, because we had a European Championship here at Budapest, and that was amazing. And I'm always just think about the competitions. But if I can say a best place where I went because of water polo was Perth, Australia.
Nice. Getting the air miles in, getting the distance. That fine, fine, fine. Um, we've got a question from one of your colleagues, one of your friends, from Vince Vigvari, who sent in a question asking, "Are you planning on playing more at the 2 meter line next year?"
Can I get the next question?
Yeah, are you not going to answer it, or
Yeah, 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 young players like always crazy because they need to learn that ethics what's in the team, and some young players like Vince sometimes didn't find the line how they can act with older players.
did you ever have to go through that? Did someone ever have to have that conversation with you when you were younger about a hierarchy in the team? Like it's all about like water polo in some ways is not about age at all, but in every sports team,
The
that
water polo is a really hierarchical sports, in my opinion, especially at Hungary. Of course, when I was at Ferencváros and in the national team, I had conversation with Daniel Varga, Dinesh Varga, older players, but that's normal.
yeah. Okay, okay. Um, we've got a question here from Earth Crit who says, "How can I improve my shot?" Do you have any tips on things like this, or any training tips in general?
That's a really good question because a lot of player has a different shot. I mean, if you see Vamos, Filipovic, there are two left-handers and totally different fakes, shots, and Zalanki also. But if you see the other side, like Difovio or Denes Varga, there are really different fakes and shots because of the shoulder, because of the elbows. But you need to find your own shot and practice that and keep improving or upgrading that, and that will be the best one.
Okay, okay, good advice. We've got another one on Instagram from mile.zs, and they ask, "What's your favorite football team? Do you follow football?"
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm a big Barcelona fan.
Barcelona. Where's that come from?
I don't know. That was 6 or 7, or no, maybe 8 years ago, when Xavi, Iniesta, Messi was still playing together, and that was just like when they were just playing the opponent, just passing, 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 and that was so fun for me. And I saw that they are enjoying what they are doing, so that's why I love Barcelona, and I'm still loving it in these hard situations.
In the hard situation, you're sticking with them. You're not just a glory hunter, but yeah. Do you do any other sports? Did you ever follow any other sports? Like
Yeah, with the Balashara, we are big darts fans.
that's not
So
really a sport. That's a pub. That's a pub
no,
thing.
no, no, that's a good sport, and I love that.
The Olympics, should it?
I think in the upcoming years, I mean, 10 or 20 years, maybe it will be an Olympic sport because it's growing really fast in the last 4 or 5 years. So we'll see.
And are you better at darts?
I'm trying, but I'm not that good, in my
No,
opinion.
you're not that good. You're not that good. Fine. Something we always ask players and guests we have on is what their life is outside water polo. Do you have a life outside water polo? Do you have time uh, to have any hobbies or have any interests or anything like this?
I hope I have a life outside the water polo. No, in this year I started to study psychology, so that's the bigger part of my time between the trainings and weekends. But but I'm a big fan of cinemas and playing darts, so that should be my hobby. These two, but I'm doing everything. And with the team in OSC and with the national team, we are big fans of Call of Duty Warzone. So we're also trying with that.
Really? Do you all play together like on games consoles or?
Yeah, of course, because in that type of Call of Duty there is crossplay between
Of course. You don't,
things like computer or
you
PS4
don't
or
need to you don't need to explain that to me. I absolutely know. I spend all my
but was listening that maybe a small advice. And we are working in duos, trios, or groups, maybe bigger groups. But in every afternoon there are some plays.
good, 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 good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Look, Krisztián, best of luck for the World Championships. Best of luck for everything, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us. I know you're really busy, and you've got 2-hour press conferences to go to where journalists ask you, you know, difficult questions. But thank you for joining us, and I'm sure we'll be in contact soon.
Thank you very much.
That was Krisztián Manhercz, and I love that, and I really enjoyed that interview. He spoke very well. He's very thoughtful. Obviously, he's very candid, talking about the psychology and speaking to people. He's had a great career. He will continue to have a great career, and I can't wait to watch him, Alfred Hayos, in front of a home crowd. During the next 2 weeks at the World Championships. But thank you to you guys for listening. Make sure you follow Total Water Polo on all our social media channels to keep up to date with the games. We're going to be releasing a lot of content, the scores, the results, photos, of course, and we're the best place to go for it. So make sure you head over to our social media pages. But as usual, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.